Right, hey guys, how are we doing? Continuing these, that time I got reincarnated as a slime videos from Annie News. We checked out how strong is Rimuru. We've even checked out how magic works within this world. Part 2 of how strong is Rimuru is up, but we're going to check this one out first, and then we're going to check out how strong is Rimuru Part 2. And this is the core of Tensura's power system explained. So this is going over skills and stuff. A couple of you actually said be sure to check this out, so let's check it out.
Skills are by far the biggest determining factor of power in Tensura. I mean, every ability, regardless of whether it's an art, magic, resistance, or attack move, seems to branch off from this single point of origin. It's as if the entire complex architecture that makes up Tensura's power system as a whole is completely built upon the foundations of this single concept known as skills.
Yeah.
So, if we're gonna understand how and why Rimuru is as strong as he is, then we first need to understand...
We need to understand this before we go into part 2. Yeah, you see? There you go.
That way the upcoming part 2 to Rimuru's power will make a lot more sense.
There we go.
Skills are, at its core, a power that stems from the soul.
From the soul, that's deep.
That are etched into the very core of a person or monster.
Sorry, I'm in a funny mood.
Kind of like a technique that's been engraved into who they are.
It's part of them.
What this means is that skills aren't something that require practice in order to be used.
It's natural.
Instead, they can be cast instinctively as if they'd been part of the user their entire life.
Yeah, there you go.
The reason why this is because skills aren't abilities that can be acquired through trivial means like rigorous training. They're more so
trivial means like rigorous training.
Powerful techniques that serve as a kind of reward for evolving or becoming more experienced. So, no matter how much someone practices like how they can do with magic, skills simply can't be learned that way. That said, there are multiple different ways in which they can be earned.
Ooh,
and it's when
stealing.
They are earned that the person or monster gaining it
we
also
do not
receives
recommend that.
Permanent reduction towards their capacity for magic use.
Oof.
It's almost as if in exchange for receiving this ability that adds to their soul, they have to give up a different part of themselves as compensation.
Right.
Of course, the benefit is the
Equivalent
development
exchange.
of an ability that requires very little magicules in order to be used. But it's because these skills even require magicules in the first place that it's much more rare for a human to possess one than it is for a monster.
Yeah.
You see, the human's inability to store magicules within themselves makes obtaining skills a near impossible task to accomplish. Even with their souls being strong enough to store significantly more skills than the average monster. Those skills won't ever have the chance to develop if there doesn't exist any magicule capacity to exchange for it. That's why humans tend to focus on developing techniques known as arts over developing any form of skills. When it comes to monsters, their innate ability to have a capacity for magicules allows for skills to be acquired much more easily. They still have to be obtained via one of the 5 currently known methods, but they aren't held back by a lack of magicules like how humans
Yeah, they have a lot of them, so
As
it's
for
like
what those 5 methods
they
are,
have more of an
that's
advantage of
something
that.
We'll cover right after we go through what type of skills there are. That way, when I start calling them by their classifications, you won't be confused as to what I'm referring to.
Cool.
So, as I said in my
Teaching!
last video,
Yay!
skills are classified by their order of evolution. They go from common to extra to unique to ultimate.
Ultimate, yeah.
While this does usually indicate how strong they are in terms of power, there are cases when a unique skill is in some ways more powerful than an ultimate skill. That's why it's better to just think of these tiers as evolutionary indicators. Each one serves to do more than simply make the previous one more powerful. They also become much more complex and effective. Starting with common. This is, of course, the most basic level. These are skills that are typically found to be shared amongst many races of monsters. Likely because they could have been born with it, or the skill itself was just that easy to
do, yeah.
Extra skills are ones that are said to have power and efficiency magnitudes higher than the common ones. To get an idea of just how much higher, let's use the extra skill Ultra Speed Regeneration as an example.
Okay.
This is a skill that when in its common form is simply known as self-regeneration.
Okay.
And it's one of the skills that slimes or vampires are born with.
Oh my.
What it does is it basically restores any physical damage that the user has taken. So
self-regeneration.
Self-regeneration will work to grow another one. When it comes to Ultra Speed Regeneration, this acts far more efficiently and effectively than how self-regeneration does. You see, there's only so much continuous damage that self-regeneration can keep up with. Whereas Ultra Speed Regeneration can heal pretty much everything.
Yeah, hence why his head got decapitated and he just like went, you know what, we're fine.
Ultra Speed Regeneration will continue to heal it back to its normal state. That's just how superior an extra skill is to its predecessor.
Makes sense.
Moving on to unique skills now. This is where things start to get a little bit more complicated.
Okay.
Because it's at this stage that the fundamentals start to change. What I mean mean is that skills of this tier and above are no longer attainable the same way a common or extra skill is. Certain conditions have to be met in order for a unique skill to come into
My
existence.
god, it looks like my Twitch
Conditions that
list of
center
things I
around
need
a
to
person's desire.
complete.
If a person wants
I'm on Twitch, by the way.
feelings or even a sense of self strong enough to support it, then those are indicators that their soul simply
Just search Pixel Party Pals.
They're conditions that rely on the part of the soul known as the ego.
Ooh.
The essence of an individual that establishes who they are, mainly through their memories and sense of self. While stuff like this is normally considered to be a social construct, the soul and ego are these actual known existences within the world of Tensura. So, the stronger one's desire and sense of self is,
Okay.
the stronger their soul is in general, and the more likely it is for them to be able to acquire a unique skill. Those
So the
who
more
don't possess
determined
those
you
feelings
are.
will never be able to acquire one of their own. That's why unique skills are described to be the shape of the mind. They're a
Right.
person's very will given form into reality. Now, one of the other fundamental differences between unique skills and the two below it is that unique skills are often a combination of various different sub-skills.
Right, they
Sometimes
make
can
up
be
the
an
main one,
amalgamation of
right.
already existing
Oh, right, okay.
extra skills, but
Cast
other
cancel,
times they can be a mix of all completely new
Priority
skills.
preserve.
That's
Create
what makes
starved.
unique
Right, okay.
skills, well, unique. For a little bit more context, because these are abilities that are shaped from one's personal desire, the way it manifests into reality will be different for everyone, essentially meaning that it can never be the same. So, the instant a unique skill has been formed within someone's soul, no other person or monster
Can have
ever
it.
naturally possess it at the same time.
But you can steal it.
It's an ability unique to the owner for the rest of their life. Last but certainly not least, ultimate skills follow pretty much all the same
Yeah, you mentioned that in
fundamentals
how
that
magic
unique
works, didn't it? It's like as soon as
They're
someone's
composed
acquired
of
that, then
numerous
no one
different
else can actually have it. Only one person can own it at
require
one
an even
time.
stronger soul and sense of self in order to be formed, and can only belong to a single person at any given time. What makes them different from unique skills, though, is mainly their level of power and effectiveness.
They're just
I mean, they are the
immense.
highest and final evolutionary form of them. So, it makes sense that something called an ultimate skill would give the owner a level of power in accordance with that.
Yeah.
Usually
It's in the
something
name.
along the lines of controlling the very laws of nature or manipulating the principles of the world.
Rules of nature.
Basic god stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Basic god
now
stuff.
that you know the tiers in which skills are classified, the only other subsections you need to know about are intrinsic skills and resistances. These are skills that are typically specific to a certain race of monster, most often given to them upon their birth as a small set of low-tier common or extra skills. So, for a slime like Rimuru, the intrinsic skills for him and all the other slimes in the world would be Absorb, Dissolve, and Self-Regeneration. Resistances, on the other hand, are pretty much defensive variants to these. Most of the time they're given upon birth in accordance with the race of a monster, which is why they're usually considered to be part of the intrinsic skills. But there are times where resistances can be acquired post-birth as well, either through a stage of evolution or by simply exposing yourself to a negative status or effect while in the presence of a high concentration of magicules. The end result is the passive ability to withstand certain physical or magical phenomena. Alright, now let's talk about how exact these skills are acquired. I
do
know
we
they may
get
not
them?
seem very rare considering how easily Rimuru goes about obtaining them, but they're actually much harder to come across than you'd expect.
Right.
I mean, not everyone has been blessed with the very OP combination of Great Sage and Predator.
Yeah.
So, to be able to possess
So how's everyone else doing it?
skill already places you well above the strength of the average soldier. That's why otherworlders are treated as such valuable assets. The unique skills they possess upon their reincarnation is a highly coveted ability. Anyway, the first method in which skills are gained is through birth or evolution.
Right, so just naturally.
This typically doesn't apply to humans, but monsters, as we know, are a type of species that can be born with certain skills unique to their race. Evolution, on the other hand, refers to something a bit more vague. There's no distinct method that describes how a person or monster can evolve, but it's when they do that they usually receive new skills in the
Yeah, so
process.
Rimuru
This can
naming
either be an
everyone
already
kind of like
existing
helped them
one
evolve into
or
something else.
stronger, or a completely brand new skill independent of all the others. If we use an orc as an example, the unique skill Starved is one that's only granted to it after one has finally evolved into an orc lord. Only then will this ravenous skill be made accessible to the orc who completed their evolution. The next method of gaining skills is through the acknowledgement of the world itself. Whenever the system that governs the world has deemed someone worthy of receiving a skill, the voice of the world will be heard as it announces what they've earned.
Right, okay, cool.
It's an event that's usually defined by the accomplishment of a spectacular feat, or the successful implementation of
The world literally recognizes you.
The feats Achievements are most often occasions in which a person undergoes significant personal growth. So, in the context I mentioned earlier, it's pretty much anything that helps to fuel one's own desires and feelings, essentially strengthening their soul so it becomes more suitable to carry skills within it. As for using a skill without possessing it, well, an example would be the time in the cave when Rimuru manipulated water in a way that shot it out like a projectile. Because he was able to figure out how to properly use this ability on his own, the voice of the world declared that he'd gained the skill Waterblade in recognition of that.
Right, cool.
That's the essence of how this acknowledgement process works. The third method of acquisition is actually the one that we see most often, and it's the process of stealing skills from another person.
Yeah.
Most of the examples we've seen in the anime are mainly from unique skills that specialize in extracting other skills from a specified target. But we've also seen Rasen steal skills by possessing the bodies of their owner. It's a more robust method that involves gaining access to the target's soul. Once the process to do so is complete, he's able to take any skills they possess as his own. Now,
Sneaky
the
bastard.
method of gaining skills is the process of sharing. A very situational method in which we've only really seen Rimuru use.
Yeah.
Thanks to the sub-skills of the unique skill Gluttony, Rimuru can use any of the skills his followers possess or hand down duplicates of any of the skills he possesses.
Very handy.
Essentially giving full reign over which skills he and his subordinates have control over. Then, the last method for skills to be gained is through the evolution of them specifically. What I mean is that certain situations can result in skills combining together in order to make completely new ones.
It's changed them,
like,
yeah.
Rimuru's unique skill Degenerate is one of the easiest ways in which this is possible. But not everyone can be like him and freely experiment with combinations of skills and see what they become. For them, the ability to combine and evolve skills is something that's not as easily available. But anyway, now that you know what skills are and how they come to be, you should be starting to figure out why it is that Rimuru is so much more powerful than everyone else. Yes, the unique skills he started out with were definitely helpful, but the main source of where all that comes from is his soul. His peculiar existence as an Otherworlder has made him what he is today. Remember, Otherworlders
So
are usually
much
beings
potential.
that possess a single unique skill upon their reincarnation. This is because their souls are made stronger due to the reconstruction of it that happens as they cross from the physical world to the
To
dark
this one,
world.
right.
That's why they're capable of supporting a power that no other normal human can. Now, when we get to Rimuru, his soul wasn't reconstructed the same way all the other Otherworlders were. Instead, his soul remained fully intact throughout the entire process. It was a unique occurrence that not even Veldora knew was possible. So, this means that Rimuru's soul was already extremely powerful right from the get-go.
Damn.
Not only did it allow him to possess 2 unique skills upon his reincarnation, but it also seems as if he has capacity for infinitely more. Once again showing just how limitless his potential for growth actually is. But yeah, that's pretty much everything you need to know about skills. Hopefully you were able to learn a little bit more about how everything works. And if you want to see more, then be sure to leave a like or let me know down in the comments below.
So, we can check out How Strong is Rimuru Part 2. But until then, thank you guys very much for watching. What do you guys think of that? What do you guys think of this? Click like, subscribe if you haven't already. Leave comments down below. Let me know what you're watching and discuss in future videos. And I'll see you guys. That's all you guys next time.